what are soul contracts and how many do we have? You'd be surprised. The very big things in our life are soul contracts, like our family, our spouses, a very important job we got that changed our life trajectory. And some things you would never guess are major soul contracts. Welcome to Your Multidimensional Journey. I am Tracy Canberra, and recently I did a podcast on life paths. What is your life path? What happens when you complete it? What it has to do with soul contracts, how they're two different things. And later I saw Stefan Burns mention life paths, and he mentioned multiple ones. And I can only speak for myself. So when channelers say, no, this is how it is, add for me. This is how it is for me. But in my 20 years of working with thousands of clients, you only have one life path. Many soul contracts on that life path, but only one life path. My last client today, her life path was love, but it wasn't finding love, creating more love on the planet, returning to love. It was about being loved. And oftentimes with those life paths, we will come down and experience the opposite. And she had a real fascinating story because she had another Earth life that was dramatically influencing this one. So she understands how to be love, but it's a matter of being loved by others and how she wants to be loved with a higher dimensional aspect, the very roots of divine love, not this 3D love, the conditional love we feel on Earth. And so everyone's life path can get really specific. That's your life path, say hers, of being loved. But the soul contracts are how we organize, how we set up, how we want our life to go. The big things. And again, you may think you know what the big things are, and you may not. There are many things that seem really subtle that you might not have noticed that really shifted your life. You could have seen another person get their purse stolen on the street and know that you couldn't have helped. There's no way you could have chased after that person, but it left such a deep mark on you that you never felt safe again, so it affected your safety. I always tell clients that you could be in the coffee shop waiting in line, and the barista says something to the cashier, and it just blows your mind, sets you on a new trajectory. And they didn't even know you were listening. They weren't even talking to you. And that's a major soul contract. And it was just you overhearing something. But the majority of soul contracts, like I said, are your family, your deep friendships, the pivotal points of your life. Now, here's the big thing. Not only are soul contracts the important relationships, but they are the important events. So to me, the big thing about soul contracts is not just, oh, this relationship was a contract, that's why it happened, or this event had to happen. It's the why. It's how our soul scheduled it. What did they wish to experience? You can say a soul wanted to learn something. Remember, there's no duality, just like there's no time and space. So a soul doesn't need to learn anything. It's divine source energy. So there is nothing for them to learn. It is only for them to experience. And there is no being, collective energy, entity in higher dimensions that has the emotional capacity that humans do. That's why this is one of the favorite playgrounds to visit, because of our capacity to feel emotions, to shift emotions, to rest in pain and suffering when it is clearly false. We are infinite beings of love. So souls will create contracts with other souls in order to experience a life path. I probably should have said that in the beginning. That's the theme. Souls create experiences. Souls create contracts. The main thing to know about soul contracts is they are created to experience different points of a life path. So souls will get together. How I see things is in a soul group. We do have an inner soul group, and it goes outer rings, just like friend groups. Just like when you were in school, you had your best friends, you had the rest of the kids in the class, you had the rest of the kids in the grade. And I see that in the relationships and soul groups. Oftentimes our soul will say, okay, I want to incarnate on earth to experience this, say abandonment or lack of love or whatever the theme, whatever the life path would be, guilt, shame, pain and suffering, just plain ascension. It can be very specific or it can be very general. Or some of them can just stand on the sidelines. I've seen that too. So when they say, I want to experience this life path, say today's client, the return of being loved, then other souls say, great. I will become your father and I will withhold love from you so that you can experience the lack of being loved. And remember, this other soul loves you very much. You're both pure love. So they're doing this act out of love. And then another one steps up and says, okay, I'll be your first husband and I will love you on a very surface level so that you confirm the inability to be loved deeply. And then another says, great, then I will step up as your second husband. So after you complete your life path and you're in what I call phase 2, we will meet and marry, and I will be capable of showing you how to be loved at a deeper, higher dimensional level. And so we make these soul contracts. But remember, our earth experience and our life path, it requires events and situations to keep perpetuating. If you won the game in 2 seconds and it was game over, that's no fun, right? Souls want to be down here for the most part for a really long time and experience a whole lot of things. And so we create all of these soul contracts in order to continue to experience on earth, experience the pain and suffering of self, of others, to experience the life path, to complete the life path, to assist others. Remember, soul contracts, some of them you are the primary, and some of them you are the secondary. You know, the contractee or the contractor. I don't know. Souls have never called it anything before. So with soul contracts, this contract could be you working for another or another working for you. I always say it's like a Broadway play. Sometimes we're the star of the play and sometimes we're in a supporting role. And oftentimes you'll find in life that you're having both the starring role and the supporting role. Simply because in a single situation, you could find that it is this aspect for you and that aspect for them. So it could be very life altering for both of you because yours is returning to love, theirs is abandonment. And so you're both having profound soul contract experiences in the same event. So moving on, how do you know what your soul contracts are? You know, it's easy when you go to a channeler or a healer or an intuitive for them to see your major soul contracts. When clients ask me about their spouse or their friend or their parent, their souls naturally show me the soul contracts that are involved. And sometimes I find it really amusing that profound people in their life could be not a soul contract. I've had clients where they're talking about their husband, and I'm like, nah, that's not a soul contract. He's just filling in because you wanted to experience this. And so he's really kind of meaningless in the whole life path you chose. She's like, but I've been married to him for 45 years. I'm like, yeah, he wasn't a biggie. Well, I'll say this. I've been divorced a long time, but in my own marriage, I asked my soul years later when I awakened, why on earth did I marry him? I don't get it. You know, we're not very compatible. What happened there? And it was my soul that had me leave that marriage also. I mean, when you get a wake-up call, when your soul is done letting you have your free will and indulge in the experience, they yank that leash back and you are on to the next experience. So I'll just throw that in there. But when I asked, why on earth did I marry him? My soul let me know it was because my ex-husband and my daughter had a contract. I was just there to bring her through. I was a supporting actor. Not what you want to hear about your marriage, right? A 10-year relationship. You were just a supporting actor in the play. It wasn't about you after all. That's kind of hilarious and ironic, I think. But it was about the two of them. And I stepped up and said, sure, I'll bring you through so the two of you could do this. Now, my soul contract with my daughter, yes, I see that, especially after her contract completed with her father. That's when I kind of stepped up to bat and our contract started. So that's another thing that it brings us to. Do soul contracts end? Yeah, they're not forever. A soul contract can be 3 minutes, 3 days, 30 years. It's different. Remember, time and space don't exist. So for a soul, they just came in to do this for another soul. And this could be very short lived or very long lived. So soul contracts do end. It is really helpful to be able to see when soul contracts are over because us humans can really drag things out. We really can. Out of loyalty, out of misplaced love, out of guilt and shame, out of many different emotions, we can drag things out. And so knowing the soul contract is over, we're complete here, makes it easier to choose yourself and your happiness and move on. So it's always good to know when it's over. And do you need a psychic or a healer to tell you this contract is over? Personally, I don't think so. You just need to listen to your heart. Your soul is speaking to you all the time, as are your guides and your angels and the archangels. You're constantly surrounded. So I personally, and of course, I'm saying this from the point of I can talk to my soul, so it's easy. But the truth is, when you are being guided to let go, to move on, you are being nudged that this is complete. You got to admit it. You feel that. You sense that. It's not that you don't realize it's complete, it's that you don't know what else to do. You hear stories about people walking out at the altar or right before the wedding, and it's because their soul has been telling them, don't do this, contract over, time to turn left. Always reminds me of Zoolander. I couldn't remember if you can turn left or right. You know, Zoolander can't turn right. A lot of times your soul is like, okay, right turn, time to make a right turn. And we hear it, but we just don't know how to find the strength within to get out of that comfort zone or to step into the unknown or to be alone. A lot of times turning right is very scary. So when soul contracts are complete and we sense it and we know it on some level, we still stay. You know, that's where self-awareness comes in. A big thing with soul contracts is having the self-awareness to know when they've ended or when they're going on. Because you could have a relationship that you realize is a soul contract. Oh, he came in to teach me this. No, he's not my forever beloved. He's not my twin flame. He's not my this and that. I am not supposed to marry this guy. He is here to teach me about self-love and boundaries. That's all. So oftentimes we get caught up, especially in relationships, not seeing the soul contract or mistaking it for something else. But again, with the self-awareness, when you put your hand on your heart, take a few deep breaths, calm yourself, go inward and go, okay, spirit, God, universe, my soul, it's all source energy. Pick the word that resonates most with you. Say, okay, spirit, what's going on in this relationship? Am I meant to stay? What am I meant to learn in this relationship? And remember, you could hear an answer then, you could sense it. All of this seeing and hearing that people want to do, I want to see angels and I want to hear voices in my head. You know, a lot of people hearing voices in their head don't want to know that. But everybody wants the clairvoyance and clairaudience. And I'm telling you, it is clairsentience first. We feel it, we sense it, we know it, claircognizance. And then we bring it up to our head where it's formed into words and pictures, right? It's a feeling, then it's telepathy. So our soul does answer us. It's a matter of you listening and my soul is saying, figuring out the clues, putting it all together, piecing it together, meaning that you get hints from everywhere, right? You'll see friends and their relationships. You'll watch a movie and they end a relationship in it, or a TV show, or you see something on social media and all of a sudden you're seeing ending of relationships everywhere after you ask that question. Those are hints. That's the universe talking to you. So you can tell when soul contracts have ended. And I think it's really helpful to understand in any relationship, whether it's professional or personal, what the soul contract is, if there is one. So you know what you're working with, you know the bigger picture. To me, the whole reason for being psychic or intuitive is to get the bigger picture. The more we understand what's going on with everyone, the more we can move into love and compassion and peace and flow. and move through it, not take things personally, not get hung up in other stories, other soul contracts that we're not even a part of. Nope, staying in the flow of our own lives and ascending. So I'll sum this up by saying soul contracts are quite important, especially in earth incarnations. It's important to know what they are, who they're with, and when they're over or continuing so that you can see the bigger picture in it, let go of attachment, walk away, get back into flow, and understand that some things that are happening to you could be a soul contract. So you're not changing them, you're not manifesting something different, you're not getting out of it. It's a soul contract. Your soul wants to walk through it. You are the car, not the driver. So if your soul wants to have this experience, you're having this experience. So I hope you understand now the difference between soul contracts and your life path. And if you're listening on YouTube, what soul contracts have you seen in your life? And what did you do about them? And do you know your life path? If you want to know more about your life path, I will leave that video linked in the description and it'll play right after this one so you can get a better idea of what you're doing in this incarnation. And let me know in the comments if you have other topics you'd like to hear about. Thank you for spending time with me today.